In today's quickfire lesson, we're going to cover two of the most important principles in chess. The first one being king safety, which is the number one most important thing in chess. And the second being the best response to a flank attack is a counterattack in the center. So let's take a look at this position. This position occurred in a classical over-the-board game that I played in Auckland in a tournament. I'm white, my opponent is black, and my opponent decided to play the move h5. Just notice the opponent's king right in the center. My opponent is saying, I'm not going to castle. I could have castled and had a pretty good position, pretty equal position in this exchange Slav type position. But instead I'm going straight for your king, Philip. By the way, my name is Philip. I'm a 2100 FIDE rated player from Auckland, New Zealand. And my aim with these videos is to help you improve your chess and help you win more games. So here, this is where I pretty much didn't even calculate. I just automatically played the move e4 because the principle is if your opponent attacks you on the flank, you have to, or you don't have to, but the best response is a counterattack in the center. And in this case, it's twice as strong because my opponent's king is right in the center of the board. And after the pieces were exchanged, we ended up with this position where now I've opened up the board and my opponent, if they decide to castle, they've got this awkward pawn on h5, which is just always going to be a target. And it's really hard for my opponent to do anything rather than continue to attack, which is what their rationale was as well. So my opponent played king f8, getting the king off the line with the queen, but that allowed me to play d5 and open up the board a bit more. I'll go slightly back. This is probably my opponent's last chance to bolster up the position by playing knight e7 to put a knight on d5 and just blockade the position a bit. And even though their position is going to be uncomfortable and slightly worse, it's playable. But after king f8, d5, now the center is completely open. And after a few moves after my opponent's played h5, everything's open, and I am the one attacking my opponent. The bishop here is hanging, so my opponent had to defend it. And after bishop c4, I'm threatening a checkmate on f7, and I've got the initiative. So my opponent has played h5 and nothing else. My opponent has not been able to continue the attack. Their king is in a worse position. This rook is out of play, and this queen is just hidden behind all their pieces. Queen c7 to stop the immediate checkmate. And this is how quickly the position falls apart for black, or for whoever doesn't protect their king. Queen f5, just getting out of the line of sight of that rook, keeping an eye on the f7 pawn. And after my opponent here played, they played h4. I played bishop d5, and after takes, rook e8, I simply played bishop to a5, and my opponent realized that they do not have any good squares for their queen to protect against the checkmate in f7. The only square is e7, and obviously if we go back, that just loses instantly to queen takes f7 mate, and this knight takes a5 is not possible because the rook takes the queen. So queen e8, queen e7, rook e1, and after my opponent realized that they can't play queen f6 because I simply I simply go rook takes e8, king takes, queen, king e7, queen b7 check, king f8, rook c8, and mate is going to follow pretty quickly, and my opponent's position has fallen apart. So instead of that, my opponent allowed me to finish with in a beautiful way. They played g6, and after I took the queen, they took my queen, rook f7 check, king g8, and the classic windmill with the bishop and the rook. And rook takes c6, and after a couple of extra moves, rook e7 check, my opponent resigned. They're about to get mated and lose all their pieces. And I hope that sort of illustrated to you how quickly after h5 your position can fall apart if you're not careful, because if your opponent can counter with an attack in the center and blast open the center like I did in this game, you're toast. Likewise, your opponent is toast if you apply this principle in your game. So I hope you learned something from this video. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.